What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a new series again. We're starting off Tuesday Talks today, and it's basically going to be a question and answer series. So I've been getting a few questions recently on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, and instead of answering just one person, I'm going to be answering all of your questions here so I can get the answer to a variety audience, and also if I'm asked the question again, I can point them towards a video. So that's the idea behind Tuesday Talks, and we're going to kick it off right now. So kicking off week one, we're going to start with a question from Pramod Kumar. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong, I'll put it up on screen. But he's asked me, what is the protein intake, the perfect concept of it? So what I think he means by that is, what is the optimum way to use protein? What is the optimum intake for, I'm assuming, fitness and bodybuilding, because he's asking me. Now, while I can talk about protein intake for both male and female, I'm going to stick with male today based on the person asking the question and my demographic on YouTube. So any females looking for protein intake advice, DM me directly, because I feel like that would be better off answering it there rather than on my YouTube channel. That being said, if you guys are from the UK, you will know that the recommended daily allowance for protein is only 55 grams, which equates to around about 0.8 grams per kilogram, I believe, and is based on an average male of around about 11 stones, which I think is 70 kilograms. Now, while this is the recommended daily allowance, and that's the amount of protein they recommend for an average person to get on most food labels, that is not enough protein to gain muscle. Now, if you're into bodybuilding, you may have heard your rule of thumb, which is to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body mass, and that is generally to do with lean body mass, but a lot of people suggest that you do it for total body mass just to be safe. Now, while this is a great place to start, I believe it stems from one of Eric Helms' older studies when he was doing his masters. I think he studied adequate protein intake for getting like absolutely shredded, so when you're really trying to lose weight, how much protein you should eat to be sufficiently maintaining muscle. Basically, anytime you Google the adequate protein intake for bodybuilding, that is the thing that pops up straight away, is 1 gram per pound of body mass. Of course, by the way, guys, I am talking about natural bodybuilding, as I will be throughout this series. So if you are taking steroids, it is slightly different. You synthesize proteins a lot differently when you're taking steroids, meaning that you are able to take more protein in, so up to like 2 grams per pound of body mass, for example, and still be able to utilize that. So that is not essential when you are natural, don't worry. Now, after a bit of background research myself on more recent studies, which I will be linking everything I researched below, so if you want to check them out for yourselves, they will be in the bio, but I found that 1 gram per pound of body mass is actually a little bit more than you do need. And while I've been following this for a very long time, it is more likely that an adequate amount of protein to gain muscle and build muscle is around about 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, which doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but when you take in a total body mass, it is going to make a difference and allow you to have more time for carbs and fats in your diet. Now, that 0.8 grams seems to be actually a safe ground, so whereas people would normally round up to 1 to be safe, that 0.8 is already rounded up. I think the studies actually found around about 0.6 was adequate. So 0.8 is a good ballpark, especially if you want to put more carbs and fats into your diet. However, for myself personally, I will still stick to the rule of thumb of 1 gram per pound of body mass, which is just blowing my mind. But I'm gonna still stick to that, mainly because I like getting my calories from proteins, and I find protein satiating myself. So if I'm able to eat more protein than I need to fat, for example, protein's going to keep me fuller for longer rather than taking in calories through fats. Now, while we're talking about bro science, we might as well delve into protein timing, because the question was basically, how can you optimize protein intake, I believe. Now, studies have found that meal timing is not absolutely essential. It does make a little bit of a difference, but trust me, it is so small that if you're doing everything else right, it's not going to make that much of a difference to you, and it is probably more essential for pro bodybuilders and people taking it to like extreme levels. So protein intake directly after a workout, for example, which is what I used to do back in the day, like proper bro. I used to finish my my gym session, and then just get out and chug a protein shake like instantly. I was like, no, I'm losing. I genuinely thought there was an anabolic window which lasted like half hour, and after that it was like game over, done. Now I know through further research and more education that this is not the case, and as long as you're getting an adequate amount of protein in throughout the day and a total daily intake, and you can even take it as far as a weekly intake if you are cycling, for example. As long as you're hitting that total protein intake, it is not going to play a massive role in your diet, whether you take it 10 minutes after the gym or an hour after the gym, for example. There are different types of protein, however, such as whey and casein, and they are going to make a difference on how the protein is synthesized and utilized in your body. So I'd rather do a video on that separately on Supplement Sundays, where I can talk more about the timing of casein compared to whey and the different properties of both. So we're not going to touch on that now, but as a very brief thing, I would try and stick to whey if you can. If your stomach doesn't allow it and you struggle with it, maybe try out some vegan proteins and save casein for a longer digesting period, such as overnight or just before bed. Again, I will touch on this in Supplement Sundays. Now, like I said, all the research I've done on this topic can be found in the bio below if you guys want to go check it out, but I thought I'd finish this segment off with a story. One about my friend who's been training for around about 2 years now, and I'm hoping he's not going to mind me sharing this story. I don't see why he would, because he's made a lot of gains recently. Around about 2 years ago, my friend started weight training for the first time, and he started training with myself, and needless to say, he made novice gains in the beginning. So within the first 3 to 4 months, he made a lot of gains, and purely just from doing something different. However, as time went on, he gradually stopped making those gains, and this is something that does happen. Obviously, muscle gain is not linear, but it wasn't at the point where he'd been training enough or long enough to see a decline in actual muscle gain. Now, I addressed this with him, and I told him that it was more likely to do with his diet than anything else, as he wasn't tracking macros and had absolutely no idea what his protein intake was. Now, he knew I was tracking macros and he knew that I'd been doing it for a long time, but sort of just parted off and said that it doesn't matter too much to him, and he just carried on eating the way he was and training, and pretty much went to the gym for 6 months and didn't make that many gains. Now, about 6 months ago from now, around about a year and a half into his training, he came to me and he asked me for advice on the diet. He finally wanted to take that plunge and give macros a go. So I took time out of my day and genuinely helped him, went through everything, his protein intake, his carb intake, his fat intake. We worked out his macros properly, give him a proper routine. He knew how to train anyway because he'd been training with me in the past. And within that 6 month window, now he's got his protein up to around about 180 grams, I believe. He's a 200-pound person. That his gains have just skyrocketed. People have genuinely gone up to him and noticed how much muscle he's added, like his family, his friends. People have noticed him get bigger in that 6 month window. So within the first year and a half, people didn't really notice, and in 6 months of him tracking macros and making his protein go up to a level where he's able to build muscle, it has made a massive difference. So I genuinely do hope you guys take this on board, and if you aren't tracking macros, that's fine. I don't expect you all to track macros, but at least try and up your protein intake to a relative amount where you're able to build the muscle and able to sustain a healthy lifestyle, I suppose, while training, because your body's going through a lot of stress, and if you're breaking those muscles down, you need to be giving them the right nutrients to build back up, and that's what the protein's going to help do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Tuesday talk. Thank you for sending in the question, and if anyone has any further questions on anything, please leave them in the comment section below. DM me if you'd rather do that, and we can answer it on a upcoming Tuesday talks. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace.